Millions without power in the sweltering heat of Texas in the wake of Hurricane Beryl. We're going to talk about what's going on down there, as well as steps that you can take, whether you're not affected and you just want to get more prepared, or whether you are affected, maybe some practical steps that you can do to keep yourselves cool in a disaster situation where you've lost power. We've caught grocery stores now injecting water into their ground beef. We have proof, and yes, we will also finally talk about dengue fever outbreak in the United States. We'll talk about why I haven't covered it previously, but we also have a whole bunch of updates coming from you guys from all over. Let's jump into it. Welcome to today's Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and these are your updates that you guys are sending in from all over. We appreciate that. If you have an update that you want to send in, please use the word update in your comment on this video or on any video in this channel. So we do want to thank our sponsor before we jump in, Genesis Gold Group. Stock market is at all-time highs. And with stocks, you're supposed to sell high, right? And buy when it's low. Well, it's high, so it's time to sell. And if you want to get your retirement plans out of stocks and get into something safer, like, I don't know, silver, gold, or other precious metals, you might want to talk to Jonathan and his team. You can move it over into those precious metals without actually taking a distribution. So it can be a zero tax impact for you. Jonathan and his team can answer all your questions, and there's no obligation if you do reach out to them. All right, there'll be a link at the end of the video too. So Hurricane Beryl has hit Texas, and in the aftermath, we saw millions of people without power. Well, 1.8 million people, as of last night, were still without power and high temperatures. Cooling centers are definitely something you need to be looking for. Looking for where are the cooling centers in your area if you're struggling with the heat. If you have loved ones that are struggling with the heat, you might want to consider getting them to a cooling center. There are other options of things that you can do at home, and we're going to kind of go over some of those things. Some of these are practical for folks down in Texas right now, so if you're in Texas, we'll get these to you right now. But some of these options take a little more foresight for you guys in Florida, who are probably going to get hit by at least one hurricane this year, so be paying attention on that. All right, so cooling centers are the first thing I want to recommend to people in Texas. There are cooling centers around you. Please use them. Definitely go there, get things taken care of. You're probably not going to be able to find bags of ice because everybody wants bags of ice, but some places are distributing them, so check into that if you can get them. Big thing you need to be paying attention to is, do you still have water? With power outages, remember that this means that water shortages may happen in the near future. Make sure you're stocking up on water. And along those lines too, water is a very good thing to cool yourself with, right? Now, swamp coolers are probably nothing new to a lot of you. Some of you may not know what I'm talking about. Basically, it's a fan with water. It sprays water into the air and it cools things very much. So if you don't have a swamp cooler at home, well, you can spray water into a fan. Now, that does require some electricity, right? You may need a battery pack. If you have a battery pack, this uses up far, far less electricity than an air conditioner or a heat pump, right? So swamp coolers, that's basically what a swamp cooler is. It's basically uses water that the fan blows over in order to cool the area. So a couple things I'd suggest out there is, one, there's a reason why in a lot of countries in the global south, they use hand fans. They just get something and they wave it in front of them. Please be using that, okay? Now, it's easier if you just purchase hand fans that are designed and foldable and look nice and everything like that. That's great. But obviously you can make them with some stiff cardboard or even just a piece of cardboard and use the piece of cardboard. If you've gotten an Amazon box recently, tear that Amazon box up, turn it into some fans, and pass them out to your family, and just sit there and just fan yourself to keep yourself cool, right? I'm going to put down in the pinned comment down below. Hand fans on Amazon. They're a really good prepper item. That's something you can give to somebody who is struggling with the heat that will really legitimately cool them down. They can sit there and fan themselves, right? Also, if you have a battery pack, or if you're going to get a battery pack, you can have a small swamp cooler, or if you just want to save electricity on your energy bills for your air conditioning, right, you can use swamp coolers. But be aware of the downsides of that. If you're in a very humid environment like Florida, swamp coolers will do a lot less than if you're in a very dry place. If you're in a very dry place, you're probably already using a swamp cooler as it is. But if you're in some place a little damper, they still can be effective, just not as effective, right? But you do save a lot of power. And like I said, if you have a rotary fan or something like that and you spray water into it, that will cool you down significantly. All right, if you have other tips or tricks for staying cool, obviously stay out of the sun, get good breeze going as best you can through the house, or trap the nighttime coolness inside your house by opening up your windows and closing your windows over the course of the day, right? To let the nighttime cool air in and then close in that nighttime cool air during the day. All right, this is a report from Scott. I just now received a notice from Ticketmaster that 500 residents of Rhode Island had their vital data stolen in a security breach. So if you've used Ticketmaster out there recently, there may be your information out there on the web and stuff like that. Name, address, and all payment data was taken. They do not state in the letter if other states were involved, but you can probably guess they probably were. So with that in mind, if you used Ticketmaster recently, check into that. This is from Alice in Trinidad, where most people don't know about food storage. Cows from government-owned farms are being slaughtered and sold at this time of year, which is odd, since the slaughter of cows is usually in December each year only. I'm not sure why, and it's scary to see, especially after seeing all the farms and livestock being targeted now in the U.S. Most people are not aware of what's going on and will be caught by surprise. People look at us like we're crazy when we encourage them to stock up. But please do keep stocking up. Stock up for yourselves. Help family members stock up. Do what you can to get people more prepared around you. The more prepared the people are around you, the better off you will be. Calm and Clean says, I live in Winnipeg, Canada. Went to a co-op today. Absolutely no cream of any type. Very little milk and cheese. Lots of frozen food in the frozen food section missing. I've never seen the store this bare, even during the cough. Went to Walmart after, and still lots of empty spaces, but it was a bit better. This is from Joe. Here in Greytown, Ohio by Lake Erie, my apples are the size of $half and rotten already. Last year I got 5 bushels off the same trees. A lot of people are having problems with their apple trees this year. Pollination, them rotting. I made out pretty good here. This is my, I got some my raspberries I was picking out there earlier. My raspberries turned out wonderfully this year. They're coming in like nothing else. There's a ton more that aren't ripe yet, but will be ripe soon. But be thinking of what plants, what doesn't necessarily need pollination, yet will still give you calories. Because it's good to have a balance of both, right? Curtis says, we stock our freezer at Sam's every year. Company was coming, so I picked up 6 prime sirloins from the local butcher that raises their own beef. I couldn't believe how much better they tasted than Sam's, and they were the same price. You will find the freezer from the butcher, we will fill the freezer from the butcher from now on, antibiotic free. Check with your local businesses when you can. You may be surprised to get better quality at reasonable price. Think local. If you guys have seen what ground beef from the supermarket looks like, some people, that's all they've ever seen. but you look at what the local butchers put out, it is a completely different product. Like, take a steak and grind it up. Is that going to look like the stuff that comes in the little foil pack? That stuff looks like brains, and it's like slimy, right? Whereas ground beef that's actually without all the additives, I don't know what is going on with the store stuff. I don't know why the grocery store ground beef is like a completely different thing. If someone knows, because they say it's just beef, but we're going to be talking about that shortly, about the water that they put in there, but that's a whole nother conversation, which needs to be had. Hang on till the end, right? Parrot Africa says, I see lots of gaps in stock at Checkers. Now, this is South Africa, right? Which is basically ShopRite, Checkers. Bird seed is out of stock. Beef Bovril, I'm not sure how to pronounce it actually, but it's like a paste. It's not bouillon, but it's like ground and then concentrated beef. It's something. Beef Bovril spread goes out, has gone out, and sometimes stays out of stock for 3 to 5 weeks. It's here I wrote it down here. Meat extract paste. Go to South Africa, check it out. I didn't try it when I was there. Apparently they use it like a spread that you put on like crackers or bread or something like that, or toast. It's like Vegemite, but like not vegetarian. Now that we are in winter, egg prices are up, and still eggs and chicken whole birds are out of stock. Even though the price has gone up, they still can't get eggs or whole chickens. Grain-fed whole birds and Farmer Brown have limits on them, as well as limits on long life milk. So shelf-stable milk out there. Atlantic Mama says GV brand cereal at Walmart was completely out. Large sections all sold out. Also, no more GV pasta. This is East Canada. I am wondering if they're just not making as many GV products anymore. Now, I do remember that there was something with the labeling that made it so they can't sell GV products up in Canada, or there's something going on there. I'm not sure if they'll adapt and be able to get their products back on the shelves, but I did see something a while back about something going on with that. So don't be surprised if GV may be a little harder to find in Canada, or may actually go completely out of stock as we go forward. If you're in Canada, let me know if you're seeing any issues with GV brand products up in Canada as well. M. Sergeant Boone, which I'm guessing is Master Sergeant, but M. Sergeant Boone says, Central Florida, I run a pool and lawn service. I have noticed more and more people canceling service and trying to do things themselves after years of service. I've also noticed many unattended lawns that need to, at minimum, be mowed. Even trying to stop and offer one-time cuts, etc., many people simply can't afford it and say they want to do it themselves. However, buying the equipment is also expensive, and they haven't had the equipment. Essentially, they're in a bind either way, either paying for the service or buying the equipment. Also, would like to warn for those who haven't been out in the heat working in the yard and mowing the grass, that they do need to please stay hydrated. So if you haven't worked in your yard for a while and you're taking back that from a service or something like that, make sure you're healthy enough and you understand what you're getting yourself into. I know everyone is a Superman out there, but please be considerate. The heat index is so high and dangerous. Heat stroke and heat exhaustion, heat cramps can be deadly. I would also ask people that have decided to do this themselves, if they do not have the equipment, consider the cost and consider the breakdowns at gas. It may still be worth paying somebody to do the lawn, even if it is every other week. That's some advice out there. This is from the Last Pirate, who is calling out the grocery stores here, particularly Sam's Club. Last Pirate says, normally I buy my ground beef at Sam's Club in 10-pound rolls and store the majority of it for the month. The latest roll I bought was 80-20 beef. I decided to weigh a raw pound versus a cooked pound. This is a good exercise to do out there anyway. And if you do this, you may find this similar result, right? Now, of course, when you cook ground beef, you are going to lose weight. That's just duh. That happens, right? That's why all the restaurants say, quarter pounder before cooking, right? By weight, the cooked meat weighed 10 ounces when completed. While cooking, the meat released an excessive amount of water into the pan. When the liquids were removed from the pan, 50% of the liquid is noticeably water. By my hillbilly math, that would suggest that the 80-20 ground beef is closer to 60-20-20. Now, according to the Wisconsin, so I went and searched for it, the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction says basically that 80-20 ground beef, it should be like cooked, 75% of it by weight should still be there after cooking the ground beef. So if you're losing more than 25% of the weight of the ground beef from cooking to being cooked, that means that there's something going on there. And I've been noticing that too, that my ground beef isn't going as far as it usually is. Are you guys seeing the same thing? Are you seeing that there is an excessive amount of moisture or water in the ground beef? They've been doing this for years with vegetables and everything like that. And with other products, we're seeing it in canned goods. But it looks like they're starting to do that with ground beef. Make sure you're getting your weight's worth. You might be finding a little bit cheaper at that grocery store, but if they're injecting water into that, you might not be getting as good of a deal as you thought. That is a fair warning out there for you, friends. All right, we're still going to talk about dengue fever. Let's hit a couple more of these updates. Denise in New South Wales, Australia. I always want to say North Southwest, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But NSW, Australia, New South Wales. Went to the local Woolworths supermarket store today. Went to get eggs. They have limitations for 2 cartons per person. Got 1 dozen eggs. It was $7.20 a carton, Australian dollars, which is like $4.85 USD according to my calculation. But most of them were $6.73 USD or more per dozen. Prices going up pretty bad, right? I've got my own chickens and some eggs in long-term storage, but my girls are currently off the lay. Too cold. Stock up, people. David says the eastern states of New South Wales and Victoria are facing a liquid natural gas shortage this winter and may have to import it from Queensland and Western Australia. There's even talk of importing liquid natural gas from overseas. Get this, Australia is the world's second biggest exporter of LNG. 90% of the gas we extract is exported, leaving the domestic market high and dry in the meantime. The likes of Santos pay next to no royalties or tax on the gas they export from Australia. Go figure. Just because they're making it doesn't mean they're giving it to locals, right? Let's talk about dengue fever. Okay, so we have had a bunch of cases in Florida, now in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and there were 41 people diagnosed in New Jersey that had just returned from out of state. They didn't say which states, but reading between the lines, probably Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina are probably the main states we're talking about. Dengue fever is like malaria in the sense that it's taken by mosquitoes. Now, unlike malaria, which is not a virus, dengue fever is a virus. Okay, now dengue fever doesn't have a treatment, but with medical care, it has a less than 1% fatality. It is mosquito-borne, so watch yourself around mosquitoes, but the numbers we're seeing out there are not super bad, okay? And this isn't spread from person to person. It has to be infected by mosquitoes. They're going to do a bunch of spraying for the mosquitoes out there. That's going to be coming. This is not some kind of pandemic that's going to spread from person to person. So it is in those areas. If you're in an area with lots of mosquitoes, pay attention. If you do start having the symptoms, if you have blood in your stool, if you show any of the other symptoms, please do seek medical care. And with medical care, the fatality rate is very low. That's why I'm saying it's not like the end of the world. It's not good, but we're not seeing a lot of fatalities right now. In the United States, we have a lot of great medical care. They're probably going to be taking care of people very well with this. So, is it the highest thing on my radar? No. It's not like these other contagious things that we should be paying attention to. And they're probably not going to make us wear masks and all that kind of stuff like that, like they will with the bird flu. They're probably not going to try to getting us all poked in the arm because of this. But with the bird flu, they might. With Mpox out there too, that also is a consideration too. All right, friends, that's why I haven't really brought up dengue fever. It is there, it is something, but it's not as much as I think some people are making it out to be. All right, friends, thanks so much for joining us. If you want to check out those ways to stay cool, down in the pinned comment down below, I have a couple links for fans and for swamp coolers that are really highly recommended. If you want to get some more information from Genesis Gold, there's a link right there about what you can do with your retirement accounts. And if you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up there. Thanks so much for watching. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.